The morning of my wedding was supposed to be gentle. That quiet, emotional kind of morning people talk about later in life. The one where time feels slow, where you sit in a robe holding a cup of coffee you barely drink, thinking about how everything is about to change. I had imagined sunlight through stained glass windows, my bridesmaids laughing softly, the hum of anticipation in the air. Instead, the first thing I saw when I opened the door to the bridal suite was my younger sister standing in front of the mirror wearing my wedding dress. She was smiling at her reflection, turning side to side so the lace skirt flared just right. My mother stood beside her, hands clasped, eyes shining with pride. For a moment, my brain refused to process what I was seeing. I honestly thought I'd walked into the wrong room. "Surprise," my mom said brightly. "Doesn't she look amazing?" I felt the blood drain from my face. "Why is she wearing my dress?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. My sister, Charlotte, laughed lightly, like I was being silly. "Relax, Grace. It's just for fun. Mom thought it would be cute." That was the moment my mother said the words that still echo in my head. "We thought it would be fun if you were co-brides today." Co-brides, like it was a theme, like it was a costume party, like this wasn't my wedding. My name is Grace. I was 26 years old that day, working long shifts as a nurse at a local hospital. I'd been engaged to my fiancé, David, for 8 months. We had spent over a year planning this wedding, saving carefully, saying no to vacations, budgeting every detail. Nothing about this day had been casual to me. It mattered deeply. Charlotte is 3 years younger than me. She's always been the favorite, the one my parents describe as sensitive, special, full of life. Growing up, that meant her feelings came first, always. If Charlotte wanted one of my toys, I was told to share. If she broke something of mine, I was told not to make a big deal. If she cried, my parents rushed to comfort her. If I cried, I was told to be strong. By the time we were teenagers, it was just understood that Charlotte's needs would outweigh mine. She borrowed my clothes without asking. She inserted herself into my friend groups. She even dated my high school boyfriend after we broke up, something my parents waved off as young love and not worth holding on to anger over. So when Charlotte went through a messy breakup a few months before my wedding, my parents rallied around her. Extra phone calls, extra sympathy, extra attention. I felt the shift immediately, like my wedding had quietly become secondary to her heartbreak. Still, nothing prepared me for seeing her in my dress. "That's my wedding gown," I said, my voice shaking now. "I'm supposed to wear that when I marry David." My father, who had been sitting quietly in the corner, finally spoke. "Your mother and I talked about this. Charlotte's been having a hard time. This is helping her feel beautiful again." I stared at him. "At my wedding?" Mom sighed, like I was being unreasonable. "Grace, don't be selfish. You girls have always shared everything. Why should today be any different?" "Because this is my wedding," I wanted to scream. "Because this is not about sharing toys or clothes. Because this is supposed to be the one day that is about me and the man I love." But no one was listening. The photographer arrived early and immediately started taking pictures of Charlotte. My mother fussed over her hair. My father commented on how well she photographed. I stood there in my robe, invisible. Charlotte soaked it all in, posing, smiling, adjusting the veil I had picked out once earlier. "I could totally get married in this dress someday," she said casually. As the morning went on, the humiliation deepened. The makeup artist focused almost entirely on Charlotte. When she finally asked if she should start on me, my mom said, "In a minute, make sure Charlotte looks perfect first." Perfect. Guests began arriving downstairs and word spread quickly. People whispered, some looked confused. A few congratulated Charlotte, assuming she was the bride. She didn't correct them. At one point, my mother pulled me aside, her eyes filling with tears. "Charlotte is devastated since her breakup. This is helping her heal. Don't take this away from her." "What about me?" I asked. "What about my wedding?" "You're strong," she replied. "You've always been the strong one." That sentence hurt more than anything else, Because it was true. I had always been strong. Strong enough to be overlooked, strong enough to be second, strong enough to be expected to sacrifice quietly. I texted David from the bathroom, my hands shaking as I explained what was happening. My bridesmaids gathered around me when they realized the truth. My best friend squeezed my hand and said, "This is not okay. We won't let them do this to you." What my parents didn't know is that I had anticipated something might happen. Charlotte had a long history of hijacking my milestones, my graduation, my birthday parties, even my engagement announcement. So my wedding planner and I had quietly prepared a contingency plan. Hidden in a garment bag in a storage closet was a second dress, one I had bought privately, altered without telling anyone. It wasn't because I expected disaster. It was because I needed to know I had control. When my planner arrived and saw Charlotte in my dress, her face went pale. "I have your other gown ready," she whispered, "but you need to decide now." Meanwhile, my parents grew bolder. My father suggested Charlotte walk down the aisle first as a practice bride. My mother floated the idea of Charlotte sharing my bouquet and standing beside me at the altar. That's when it hit me. This wasn't spontaneous. This had been planned. I went to the closet and changed. When I stepped out in the second dress, the room went silent. It was different from the first. Elegant, intricate, unmistakably mine. For the first time that day, all eyes were on me. I walked straight up to my parents. "I know you planned this," I said calmly. "I've seen the messages. This ends now." They tried to explain, to deflect, to guilt me, but it was too late. My planner stepped forward and addressed the room clearly. "Grace is the bride. Charlotte needs to change immediately." When David arrived and saw what was happening, his face darkened. "This is unacceptable," he said firmly. "Either Charlotte changes or she leaves." Guests were whispering openly now. The fantasy my parents had created was unraveling. Charlotte's confidence cracked. She suddenly looked less radiant and more desperate. Slowly, angrily, she changed out of my dress. The ceremony went on with one bride, me. It was beautiful, emotional, ours. Afterward, the fallout was quiet but heavy. My parents were embarrassed. Guests talked. Charlotte barely spoke to me. But for the first time in my life, their silence didn't hurt. It freed me. I set boundaries after that day, real ones. My parents were forced to apologize publicly. My relationship with Charlotte became distant, and my marriage grew stronger because my husband saw me stand up for myself and stood with me. Sometimes you have to fight for your moment, even against the people who should have protected it. And sometimes choosing yourself is the most powerful vow you'll ever make.